So we're a week into Shadowkeep and a bunch more stuff has been discovered since then. So we've got another roundup of super interesting stuff to talk about in this video. IKORAS secret plan inside the tower, a whole bunch of raid secrets and loot and drama, as well as even more news like the PlayStation 5 and a special surprise at the end of this video. So as usual, we've got a ton of stuff crammed into this one, spent a while putting this one together, so if you enjoy it, a like rating is always super appreciated. Let's get into it. So if you've been to the tower since this latest reset, there's actually been a small update. You may have noticed or may not have, but something is actually a little bit different inside the tower. I would not blame you if you're not noticing, as you may have easily just ran past it, but Bungie have actually started to build something new here. Over by IKORA, there is now some construction over in this area behind her. You've got all these staircases and beams and quite possibly the bravest workers in the universe. She clearly has no fear, but why this is actually here ties into the overarching story of this DLC and the secret enemy behind all this, the raid, and also the darkness yet again. So right now, there are two main storylines going on inside Destiny 2. You've got Shadowkeep and the Hive, Eris, the Nightmares, and the Moon coming from, of course, that pyramid. And then also you've got the Season of the Undying with this Vex invasion, which hasn't been explained all too clearly just yet, but the two are actually linked, and it's all because of this artifact, the one I talked about in my last video. This thing is super important. So this started sending signals to the Black Garden, which is why we went into the raid in the first place. That's why we're actually here. But once you beat the final boss at the end, and a spoiler warning if you don't know what happens at the end, but we see the final boss turn into a stone statue, which is funny the opposite of the original Black Heart mission where the stone statue turned into life by the heart, but then a pyramid appears and opens up a special room. Inside this room is where the artifact was signaling, and it turns out there is another statue of the darkness, exactly the ones I talked about in my latest video, and this is now the third and only place we've seen them in all of Destiny. The first one was, of course, the concept art, then the pyramid ship on the moon, and now here inside the Black Garden, inside the raid. This one is even more identical to the concept art. You can fully see the pillar behind it with the markings, and once again, that round artifact right above his head. So similar version to one of the pyramid, but a bit smaller, and it does explain why they were signaling each other. So there's definitely a connection here. Now the problem is that there is a different enemy behind the scenes that is actually masterminding the Vex to attack the moon. That enemy is actually the Undying Mind from Destiny 1, believe it or not. Yes, that's right, the famous Imago loot farming boss in the Black Garden, the original strike that was in the Dark Below DLC back in 2014. So this guy's job was to protect the heart and of course the garden, which we since killed, but since the name suggests, he is undying, so he's back at it again, and now we've found the pyramid and the artifact on the moon. It makes sense why they're after it and why they're now attacking the moon. Now on that topic, there is also another connection here. The original concept art of the Black Garden, the heart, does seem to show almost exactly what we're seeing right now in Shadowkeep. This is a really, really old piece of concept art. We've never seen these red branches before in Destiny ever, never seen the full game, but now of course in Shadowkeep, these nightmares are being created by the pyramid with the exact same red branches. So you can see how a lot of these things are actually linked, and this is why the Vex are invading the moon. It's all thanks to this Undying Mind, and that's why it's called the Season of the Undying Mind. It's all around this guy is kind of somewhat a big looming enemy in the background that's going to slowly be revealed to us. And as it turns out, IKORA has a master plan for this. So she's figured out the Undying Mind is actually behind all this, and mentions in dialogue the mind is apparently jumping around in different timelines. So this goes all the way back to what is happening in the tower this week and what the update was. So her plan is to build a giant Vex portal right here in the tower so we can go in and take out the mind in the Black Garden. That is what this construction is for. It also explains what Bungie was talking about with this whole evolving world where things happen and we see effects over time. This does actually make a lot of sense. This portal is going to be slowly put together over the next month or two. We're going to see it progress. So you may have already heard her talking about the plan to build this portal, and that's why we're collecting parts for her on the moon and bring them to her. That's what she's actually doing. And then later on, she talks about the progress of the portal. During the festival, The Lost, which is going to be at the end of this month, she again tells us about the progress of her constructing this Vex portal, and it still needs work before it can be used. And then finally, during the end of the festival on the 19th of November, that is also the exact same day as the Vex Offensive Final Assault. So here, we can see the actual Undying Mind in the image, which is when we get taken out. So this all kind of matches up. You can see if you look closely, behind him is actually the same portal that IKORA is building on the hologram. So this is definitely going to be the same one that connects. And this is where we're going to finally take him out and imagine a giant Vex gate here in a little over a month. The quest for this is called To Destroy a Mind, and she says now once it's completed, we can use the portal to destroy the mind and finish her grand plan. Apparently she and Zavala have been testing it, but now it's ready. We go into the garden and take out the mind. That is how it's going to end. So it all sounds great, but I think the bigger question is what sort of reward are we going to get for taking out this mine, if I guess we eventually do, which I'm assuming will happen. But I think the first thing we can all probably assume is definitely some form of Imago loop or Fatebringer Easter egg, a throwback to one of the most iconic weapons in Destiny, and of course the weapon this boss is known for dropping. I don't think either of those weapons just by themselves would be that special, so it probably would have to be some kind of update, maybe something that looks like the Fatebringer with that iconic look, but I'm sure a new improved version, something to compete with the Nation of the Beasts and the Outlaw Firefly combo we can get pretty easily on most legendaries, and of course the Ace of Spades as well. So definitely couldn't be the same weapon, but I could easily see some sort of throwback to, again, one of the most iconic weapons in Destiny history. Now, in a plot twist, I also wouldn't be surprised at all if IKORAS' master plan did backfire and the Vex ended up just invading the tower through this portal of hers. I do feel like it's not the best place in the world to put a giant portal to the Black Garden. But hey, we'll see how it goes. And in the meantime, let's hope she doesn't get a lawsuit for these dodgy working conditions. But let me know what you guys think of this. It's definitely a very interesting progression, and I guess we're going to see it unfold over the weeks to come. So let's talk about the raid itself, the Garden of Salvation. It's got some of the best loot rewards I've seen from a raid in quite a while, some very powerful stuff, and there was also some drama that went down surrounding the new emblem. So me and my fire team managed to get to the final boss on day 1, which I'm super happy with. Even clearing all those encounters up to that point during contest modifier is such a challenge, so I'm sure you've seen it was pretty difficult. We were very close to getting that 24-hour emblem, but we just couldn't get enough damage at the final phase with enough time left. So raid launches are, of course, always crazy. No one really understands how to do the encounters and the secret strats. You just try stuff and hope it works and hope what you're doing is correct. And also not sleeping in 3 days definitely doesn't help either. You're all kind of delirious at that point. But it was a really fun raid, definitely up there as one of the most difficult. And that is mainly because of this thing called the contest modifier. This brings up the drama that went down because of this 24-hour emblem. So it's a pretty confusing back and forth, but I'll sum up what actually happened and why people are upset and why Bungie can basically never win in these situations. So if you don't have a day 1 raid works, basically the second biggest achievement behind getting World's First itself is to complete it within those 24 hours. That gets you an emblem, and what makes it worse is the contest modifier, putting everyone on a level playing field. This makes it equally difficult because everyone's under-leveled. The highest you can beat is 920 for a 940 encounter. So what happened is basically a few hours before the 24-hour window was up, the servers went down for about an hour. We all got booted and we weren't able to get on the servers. When the servers came back up, there was only like an hour, maybe 30 minutes left. So you can imagine it messed up a lot of teams on that final stretch to try and get this 24-hour window done. So 3 hours after that 24-hour mark had passed, almost all teams had basically either done it or called it quits. Bungie then announced on Twitter they had extended the window to get the emblem by 2 hours. So if you had kept playing and beat it in those 2 hours after, you still would have qualified for the emblem. They'd be sending it soon. This was in theory a good thing, but it didn't end up being received that well for 2 reasons. Firstly, they announced the extension an hour after the extension was already finished. So the majority of people, like my team, for example, had been playing for basically 24 hours straight, and then obviously got offline once the emblem window was finished. Not many people would continue past the deadline, knowing there's no longer an exclusive emblem up for grabs. At that point, you'd just be doing it for the completion. So it's the case that nobody knew those extra hours would have counted. If we did, then people, of course, would have continued. Now, the bigger reason people are upset is because the contest modifier was not on during those extended few hours. This means that anyone with a high-level character could then overlevel it, which was most people on it during the time. Still, again, a very difficult achievement, not to diminish it, but it was still undeniably easy in the first few teams who did beat it during that first window with contest on. Understandably, a lot of people thought this kind of devalued the emblem, so it wasn't really that fair on the first set of teams. And then just earlier today, Bungie decided to change their mind and now will no longer be giving the emblem to people who beat it during that extra window. So as you can imagine, this got another mixed reaction, but I do think most people can probably agree this was the right call and I guess offended the least amount of people. So the servers messed up and they tried to compensate by extending the window, but they didn't announce it to a lot of people that would have kept going and didn't. Then they promised some teams an easier emblem. Then they said, never mind, we're not doing it anymore. So it's been a weird back and forth, but the bottom line is you can't please everyone. And I think Bungie finally landed on an outcome that I guess was the most fair to the most amount of people. Again, I think it was probably the right call, but let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. What do you think of this decision? Now, as far as loot rewards, like I said, this raid does have some pretty impressive stuff. So I got myself the fusion rifle with shield disorient and also feeding frenzy, which was okay. And then we got the shotgun, which is actually a lot more impressive. This one came with shield disorient and rampage. Now, this shotgun in particular is very interesting because it has a seriously impressive set of base stats. pretty much the worst roll on this thing is going to be better than most shotguns you'll find, and especially for Crucible, this thing being the same as Dust Rock Blues, this one is going to be very, very strong. My one's okay. It got Rampage, like I said, but there are better ones out there. My friend Luke on my raid team got one with Slide Shot and 1-2 Punch, which is pretty ridiculous. And also the Pulse Rifle with Kill Clip and Rapid Hit. This is actually a curated roll, so definitely one of the best out there. My friend Barb got the Rapid Hit Bow with Archer's Tempo and also an Auto Rifle with Swashbuckler and Under Pressure. And on my friend Jack's account, we've got the Pulse Rifle with Snapshot, Rapid Fire, the Sniper Rifle, which didn't come with a great roll, but still looks very cool. And of course, the most famous weapon, the Exotic Divinity. This thing is actually very, very strong. It's good in PvE because it does create a massive crit spot and is actually very good damage-wise, but in PvP, not only does it melt like Prometheus Lens, but it's also causing some people to crash when they actually come up against it. So this thing's getting a lot of attention, but is a very good weapon, which is good to see for a raid exotic, but a lot of good stuff inside this loot pool. In terms of armor piece, I only got 2 things, which is the duplicates of the chest piece, one from an encounter and one from a secret chest after or just before the final boss. But those are just some of the rewards you can get. Like I said, a very impressive loot pool. And let me know if you guys got anything, any good rolls in your stuff, because you can get some pretty strange combinations of perks you wouldn't normally see on weapons like these. So jumping into some other news, we actually got some pretty interesting information, which is the very first word from Sony about the PlayStation 5. Yes, it's actually official. They have officially announced it, confirmed it, and set a release date of next holiday season 2020. So October, November, December next year, that is when the PlayStation 5 is officially launching. A lot of the details are pretty light so far because it's just been announced, but we've got some information about the new improved UI, which is going to be a lot faster. There's also finally an SSD it runs off, not a hard drive, which is nice. It can be a lot faster. There's a new DualShock 5 controller, but the most important thing is probably the looks of the thing, which of course is very strange. Believe it or not, this is actually the official dev kit of what the developer models look like right now. So just to clarify, this is not at all what the final retail version will look like. This is just a dev kit, so for developers to make games and test things on. It's a beefed up kind of super powered version that's overclocked and is not typical of what you'd expect from the retail model. So probably most developers you can think of have these things right now sitting in their studio testing the brand new games out. But even still, it is a pretty weird model for dev kits. Normally they are even a bit more normal looking. Like this is the one for the PS4, for example. Obviously, again, very different to the original. And this was the PS3 version. So they do normally look a bit weird and bulky, but the PS5 one has taken a form all of its own. But let me know what you guys think of this one. In terms of announcements, we did recently find out that Sony have enabled cross-play for all systems. This could be massive. Obviously, we just got cross-save for Destiny, which is big enough, but cross-play would, of course, be the final, ultimate end goal for Destiny. Bungie have said they would like to add it in Destiny one day, but they didn't really specify whether they'd want to do it in a game like Destiny 2. It may just be a future thing for a next-gen game on a next-gen system like Destiny 3 and the PlayStation 5. Of course, the reason Sony are brought into this is because they were basically the last reason why crossplay wasn't really that common in the gaming scene. Fortnite kind of blew it up and made it so popular that it was kind of almost weird to not have it. So now it's becoming an industry norm, which is good. Of course, Steam and Xbox and most of the other platforms are cool with crossplay, but now that Sony are finally allowing it, it can be enabled for all systems. So gaming going forward should be a lot more crossplay enabled. It should be a standard thing. So I wanted to finish the video with just a special thanks to you guys for all the love you've shown on my videos and my streams and the comments and on Twitter. I've seen it all, and even though I can't reply to all, I do massively appreciate it. After being away for so long, the response you've shown has just been unbelievable. So again, the best way I can give back is just to give you guys the videos that you all enjoy, which hopefully I'm doing and hopefully you guys have enjoyed so far. Obviously, Shadowkeep has just come out, so we're just getting beginning. Got a lot more stuff that I want to do and show you guys, but we're just getting started. I did also get sent this collector's edition, which I only just got time to open because I was grinding the raid all week. But these things are actually super rare and sold out, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they're making them anymore. So this is what's inside in case you're wondering. So one of you with notifications turned on that watch the video super fast is going to redeem that code, I'm sure, and get a free copy of Shadowkeep. So enjoy that. There's also this code for an exclusive emblem on the Bungie store, so good luck whoever gets that as well. But I'm going to try and find more codes and stuff that I can give you guys and just throw into videos. I try and do it as much as I can, but especially want to reward you guys that click on videos so quickly. Some of you click on them within seconds and are already liking and commenting. So I appreciate you guys. Again, I can't put into words how much I appreciate you guys. And with that said, I'm going to go work on some more videos. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. A like rating if you did is always much appreciated. And I'll see you all very soon in another video.